Hey y'all, welcome back into the Be doing international trade for Cape Economics. Let's get into it. Reasons for international trade. We have the uneven distribution of the world's resources because you know that each country in the world does not have all the resources it needs to produce all the goods and services it wants. Resources, particularly land, are immobile, while labor and capital cannot readily move across international borders. That's also another point. Also, certain types of goods and services require specialized types of resources. For example, wheat is grown in temperate countries. Some countries in the Caribbean have abundant resources, while others do not. For instance, Trinidad and Tobago possess oil, gas, and asphalt, while the Leeward Islands rely on banana production and tourism. Also, if nations lack the resources to manufacture goods, the goods can move across borders regardless of their place of production. Some countries produce at a lower cost than others, as seen in the comparison between beet sugar and Caricon produced sugar. The role of exports and imports. Exports are considered injections into and imports a withdrawal from the overall circular flow. As injections, exports have the potential to generate growth in the economy via the multiplier effect. Many countries have used export-led growth as a model of economic development, such as Japan and the South Asian tigers. Furthermore, selling goods and services to trading partners ensures that a country does not entirely consume its national outputs in a domestic market. Similarly, the expenditure of households and firms may also favor foreign goods and services. While exports reduce the available output for domestic households and firms, imports increase the domestic available output. Importantly, exports earn income for a country, while imports earn income for trading partners. Exports and imports are not only goods but also services. In an open economy, various financial inflows such as interest, profit, and dividends are categorized as capital flows. When a country's export revenue from physical goods, services, and financial inflows surpasses the outflows of a similar nature, the resulting net inflow of funds positions the country well to afford imports of goods and services not domestically produced. Also, raw materials and specialized technology enhance a country's export capacity and long-term growth. Both counts will increase a country's standard of living. When an open economy can earn revenue from exports and other invisible inflows to finance imports, it can achieve self-reliance and significantly reduces external debt. If not, a country might experience a foreign exchange shortage and require borrowing from lending agencies such as the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. Factors that determine exports and imports. We have international prices, domestic production, domestic prices and exchange rates, the level of international incomes, shifts in international demand, and the emergence of substitutes and international activity. International prices. We have supply and demand dynamics. The interaction between global supply and demand for goods and services influences their prices. Shortages due to supply disruptions such as natural disasters and geopolitical tensions can lead to price spikes. Changes in consumer preferences or shifts in economic activity can alter demand, affecting the prices of traded goods. We have commodity prices. Prices of commodities such as oil, metal, and agricultural products significantly impact global trade and economic stability. Commodity price fluctuations can result from geopolitical events, technological advancements, weather conditions, and production disruptions. Commodity exporting nations, economies heavily depend on these prices, affecting their trade balances and overall growth. Domestic production, we have technological innovation, enhancing production efficiency, lowering costs, and elevating product quality are achieved through advanced technology utilization. Increased productivity enables countries to produce more goods and services, boosting their export potential. Innovative products can lead to competitive advantage, fostering higher export demand in the global market. Trade policies and agreements. Tariffs, quotas, and trade barriers affect the ease of exporting and importing goods. Free trade agreements and preferential trade agreements promote cross-border commerce, stimulating exports. Protectionist measures can limit imports, stimulating domestic production to meet local demand. Domestic prices and exchange rate. Interest rate and monetary policy. We know that the central bank's decisions on interest rates influence borrowing costs and money supply. Higher interest rates attract foreign investment, leading to an appreciation of the domestic currency. And with that, a strong domestic currency reduces export competitiveness, potentially leading to a trade deficit. Therefore, changes in the monetary policy can affect exchange rates, which in turn can influence the cost of imports and the demand for exports. Domestic prices and exchange rate continue. We have inflation and purchasing power. High inflation erodes purchasing power, making imports more expensive and potentially reducing consumer spending on foreign goods. Central bank may raise interest rates to combat inflation, which can impact domestic economic growth and currency value. Low inflation can boost domestic consumption and investment, potentially causing currency appreciation. Then we have the level of international incomes, economic growth and consumer demand. Higher economic growth in a country often fuels greater consumer demand for goods and services, both domestically and internationally. Strong economic growth can drive up incomes and allowing consumers to afford more imported products, thereby increasing imports. Robust consumer demand in different countries can create opportunities for economic growth or export growth, benefiting economies that specialize in producing those goods. Then we have shifts in international demand and the emergence of substitutes. Again, we see technological advancements. Technological advancements or innovations can create new products or services and reduce demand for older ones. The emergence of substitutes often results from advancements that offer similar or better features at a lower cost. Example, the rise of streaming platforms as substitutes for traditional cable TV due to superior convenience and content variety. Then we have changes in consumer preferences on a whole. Shifts in consumer tastes influence demand for goods and services. Preferences can be affected by cultural shifts, advertising, health considerations, or lifestyle changes. Impacts global trade as demand for certain products wanes and demand for new substitutes grows. Example, increasing demand for plant-based protein alternatives due to health and environmental concerns. Then we have international activity, cultural exports and tourism. Cultural identity. Exporting cultural products such as music, art, and crafts can significantly contribute to a country's revenue. Caribbean nations are known for their vibrant cultural exports, including reggae music and carnival celebrations. Tourism. The appeal of cultural events and heritage sites attract tourists, boosting international activity. For example, the Caribbean's beautiful beaches, historical landmarks, and unique festivals attract millions of tourists annually, generating revenue through hospitality services and other related industries. So we have commodity exports and global demand, agricultural products. Caribbean economies often rely on agricultural products like sugar, bananas, and coffee. Fluctuations in global demand and prices can impact export revenues significantly. Natural resources. Exports of natural resources such as oil and minerals can significantly influence a country's economic outlook. The success of these exports depends on global market conditions and geopolitical factors. 3, we have trade agreements and economic partnership. Trade agreements, or free trade agreements, I should say, FTAs. Participation in FTAs can impact trade dynamics by reducing trade barriers and trade and tariffs as well, right? Caribbean nations often engage in trade agreements to enhance their export opportunities, such as CARICOM's intra-regional trade agreement. Economic alliance. Joining economic alliance and regional organizations can promote cooperation and trade stability. Caribbean nations often collaborate within regional blocs to strengthen their collective negotiating power in international trade. Then we have the effect of foreign exchange earnings on small open economies. One, we have access to capital goods. Foreign exchange earnings enable the acquisition of capital goods often unavailable domestically due to limited production capacities or technological gaps. Capital goods such as machinery and technology enhance productivity, support innovation, and expand industries. For example, Trinidad and Tobago's reliance on oil exports enable them to import advanced drilling equipment, enhancing their production capacity. Then we have the export multiplier. The export multiplier effect occurs when an increase in exports leads to multiple rounds of spending within the economy. Foreign exchange earnings from exports create jobs, increase income, and stimulate demand for various goods and services. For example, exporting spices from Grenada brings in foreign exchange and stimulates related sectors such as packaging, transportation, and retail. Then we have access to consumer goods. Small open economies often have limited domestic production of certain consumer goods, making imports essential to meet citizens' needs and preference. Foreign exchange earnings enable the importation or import of diverse consumer goods, improving living standards and expanding choices. For example, the Cayman Islands, with a robust financial sector, rely on foreign exchange to provide citizens with a wide range of imported goods. We have increased domestic production, utilizing foreign exchange earnings to invest in domestic production, enhance self-sufficiency, and reduce import dependency. Developing local industries can lead to job creation, skill development, and economic diversification. For example, Antigua and Barbuda have used foreign exchange from tourism to support local agriculture, reducing their reliance on food imports. Then we move on to the theory of absolute and comparative advantage in international trade. One, we have absolute advantage. A country has an absolute advantage in producing a good if it can produce the good using fewer resources, like land, labor, or capital, than another country. It implies higher efficiency and productivity in production. Caribbean countries like Jamaica and the Dominican Republic have climates conducive to cultivating tropical fruits such as bananas and pineapples. This results in reduced production costs compared to countries with colder climate or conditions. Two, we have comparative advantage. A country possesses a comparative advantage in producing a good when it can create that item with a lower opportunity costs than making another. If a country does not have an absolute advantage in any good, it can still benefit from specializing in producing what it's relatively better at. For example, Caribbean nations like Trinidad and Tobago have oil reserves and skilled labor for refining, enabling them to produce oil products more efficiently than certain other goods. We have three benefits of specialization in trade. When countries specialize based on their comparative advantages, they produce more efficiently and increase overall output. Trade enables countries to exchange specialized goods, resulting in a greater variety of products. Caribbean countries can focus on their unique resources, agricultural products, tourism, natural resources, and trade with other nations for goods they lack. If a country that's trade imbalances and dependency. If a country becomes overall dependent on a few exports, it can face risk when global prices fluctuate. The Dutch disease phenomenon can occur when a booming sector, for example, natural resources, leads to a stronger currency, hurting other industries. Caribbean countries should diversify their economies to avoid the vulnerability due to over-reliance on specific exports. Trade policies and development. Governments can play a role in fostering industries where a country has a comparative advantage. Encouraging education and skill development policies can significantly enhance a country's competitiveness. Caribbean governments can invest in infrastructure, education, and research to enhance their advantage in specific sectors. Conclusion: absolute and comparative advantage concepts guide countries in specializing their production and engaging in international trade. Caribbean countries can leverage their unique resources to engage in multiple beneficial trade relationships, boosting economic growth and development. And that is it, guys. See you all next time.